Is everybody having a good time? Yeah? Interesting? Yes? Buenos dias? Yeah? All right, I wanted to introduce again this panel, New Economy Skills Training, which we see as the most interesting kind of subsector happening right now within education. Our moderator here is Alper from MCT. You'll introduce your organization, which we've been tracking for some time, and then you'll introduce all the panelists here. All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Michael.
Kick off.
Hi, guys. Well, my name is Alper. I'm in the skills training and employability. I'm running a startup called European Leadership University. We're also trying to hack and unbundle education, but I'm more here to introduce you with our panelists and who are doing fascinating things. And we are all, actually, what brings all us together is like this whole big revolution around the skills and recruitment. But before we start, if you allow me, I want to hear from you. How many of you are entrepreneurs, startup, or planning to be entrepreneurs? Can I see the hands? Cool. Yeah. And how many of you are like in skills training, education? Wow. And how many of you in recruitment?
Recruitment.
Okay, a few. That's interesting. How many of you are into coding or software development? And how many of you can code? Fascinating. Okay, we have a good sense of the room. And I think the frame of today is we used to have lots of industries like building industry and banking industry, education, but the whole industry is converging into one single industry, which is tech. And actually, around that, the whole skills development is, and whole recruitment is converging into what we can say coding or software development. And there's a lot to learn from that experience. And we have a group of fascinating innovators and entrepreneurs here. So let's start with Krill. So can you tell us about you and your organization? What do you do?
Sure. So Enki it's a tool to help professional technologists fill in knowledge gaps for things related to work. So it's primarily a mobile experience. So it's essentially an expert developer that's constantly in your pocket and making you better. And our users love our product. We're growing very quickly. So if your company has technical employees, come say hi, and I'll tell you how we make technical teams better. So that's a quick summary.
So you do like real workouts, 5-minute workouts for coders and tech.
Real workouts with a little bit of sweat. I mean, if you haven't coded enough in 5 minutes to not break sweat, you haven't worked enough. So, but yeah,
fantastic.
Digital workouts.
Digital workouts. It's fascinating. And Robert, what do you do?
So SCORE, we are connecting talents and by organizing skills-based challenges and competitions. And we use this as a tool to connect, engage, and validate the skill set of a developer or of any type of talent.
So we have Robert doing like competitions, and through him we find the best talent, and we know what they can do and how they compare. And how about you, Jorge? What do you do?
So we at Sourced, we develop deep learning algorithms to analyze the code of over 7 million developers worldwide and understand it. Based on this, we're able to place them in jobs, but we're also working on ways to help them learn, what the next steps are for their career and other tools for developers as well.
Fantastic. So you kind of so when we use your services or your company, we know what they can do in terms of the skills, their abilities, so we don't recruit blind.
Exactly.
Fantastic. How about you, Eva?
Well, for Lauren, contrary to what the name implies, it's a community of coders that learn, play, interact with each other, code together, and eventually it transforms into a competitive coder profile. So your achievements sort of become your profile that you can show to the world.
So you are, even though it's a solo learn, but you are not solo. You don't walk alone in solo learn. It's a community of coders, community of learners.
Yeah, you get to choose. How you want to do it, but at some point, community comes into play, right?
Fantastic. So, okay, well, we'll do rounds of questions, but also you'll know more about our entrepreneurs and what they do, but also think about what would you want to get from them, because we want to also hear your voices. and then hear your questions and inputs, and so they can also interact. So we're not alone here, chatting between ourselves. We want to involve you. So think about what you would want to learn from them. So I'll continue with the Krill. I mean, does it work really, like when you have the digital workouts? And if yes, how does it work?
Well, we ask our most active users this question a lot, right? And one of them actually came up with an interesting comparison, which is, does anyone know what a TARDIS is? Does anyone watch Doctor Who here? Right, one person. I mean, people tell me that everyone knows who Doctor Who is, but it's a British show, and TARDIS is essentially this fictional little, what looks like a post box, which is essentially a time travel machine, right? And the point I'm trying to make is that it looks very simple from the outside, but once you go in, it actually transforms exactly where you are in terms of space-time. It's a time travel machine, right? So that's what our users have said. Our product seems very simple and seamless to use, and it seems quite trivial. But our most active users, they say there's, first of all, compounding effects. So small changes, once you learn a little bit every day on a regular basis, there's a huge benefits from compounding effects. I think most people are not surprised here. And the second thing, it's a pretty effective trigger to go ahead and then learn yourself about things you didn't know.
But do I need to be an experienced coder, or can I be just a starter, a new beginner?
No, I mean, so we have all kinds of levels for different topics. I mean, our most frequent use case is someone who is somewhat technical, familiar with an old technology, but they need to get up to speed with a new technology. And this is becoming more and more relevant, right? There's a new platform coming out almost every week, a new JavaScript platform, and we are basically the best tool out there to get up to speed with that new platform.
So for beginners or for experienced seasoned coders, it's equally good, and they get different things.
We help you stay ahead of the tech curve.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And Robert, now, you run competitions, and then through the competitions, as employers, we get the best people.
Yes.
But how does employers look at your process, and what is the ideal customer? I mean, do they like it, and who comes to you as a customer?
So we work with both universities and corporates. We work with a little bit more than 3,700 universities worldwide, around 350 blue chip big corporates. And they use it instead of posting a traditional recruitment ad asking the candidate what type of background that they might have. They are posting a challenge that reflects what type of challenge or what the type of work that you actually will do. And by doing this, they can broaden their candidate base and attract more talents that are interested in working with that specific thing that you are recruiting them for. And by taking the candidates through this type of competitions and challenges, you gain a lot of data so that you can see and recruit the best skilled one that have the best match, and not looking at to like gender, age, background,
CV.
and those CV and those parts. So no matter where you learn it, we can help you match you with an educational career opportunity.
Is there a problem with the scalability? Do I mean, like, if I want to hire like 1,000 people, can I do it with you as an employer, or do I have to do like boutique, very small groups?
No, our biggest clients are using it for the mass recruitment, and so we have built up a platform so it's very easy to scale, and it's very easy to launch this kind of competitions and challenges. So it goes in seconds if you are an experienced recruiter to do it. And so we built up a big taxonomy of different types of questions, challenges that we add a lot of the data for. So the more talents you take them through, the better your recruitment process will be.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And Jorge, your company, Sourced, sits in the middle of this whole convergence and revolution in terms of how we hire and who we hire, which is coding and by really the competencies and skills. So we don't just hire people based on what they claim on the CV, like Robert mentioned, but we can just look at their actual work.
Yeah.
And how is it working different from a classical recruiter? I mean, is it like getting traction from the employers? Do they really like it, or do they want to do it old-fashioned, the old way?
No, so the truth is that I mean, there's no recruiters here from what I saw, but
There's one only.
there's one, but from our company. So
Okay. So we're all together.
yeah. So basically, what happens is hiring a developer and assessing a developer is extremely hard. It's the same as if you would ask me to find you a heart surgeon. I have no idea what to ask him, what to base the quality of his work on, and so on. So the only thing I can do is look at the CV and see, okay, work here, 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 and here, but it's not really telling me how good that person is, right? So basically, I mean, recruitment of developers is extremely hard. It's the biggest difficulty every single company has in terms of profiles, followed by designers, followed by product managers. So it's a very hard industry that no one has been able to really solve yet. So being able to analyze a very objective sample of work of someone, which is their code, and it's not even a code that they've developed in the context of doing some kind of test for the company. It's code that they've developed before that. They give us access to all their code and so on. And being able to look at it in time as well, so how they've evolved in the last 3 years and these things, is a very objective proof of how good the person is and how good a match that person is. And we don't base it also on a scale of 0 to 100, because code is very subjective. Me or our CTO and someone else's CTO is going to have a different opinion on what good code is. So we basically cluster them in 6,000 dimensions and find people who are similar to the style of that company, instead of basing it on not real measures of how good code is.
But what I'm curious is, are the companies, can they really use your value add? I mean, or
Sure.
are they...
We work with all sorts of companies. We have hundreds of clients from San Francisco to Singapore, small startups, big ones, like many of the well-known names you guys know, corporates as well, all sorts of clients.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. And Eva, you come from corporate world. You've been with Microsoft, and now
For a
you...
little bit.
Yes, and then you started a community of coders and code learners. Like the rest of us, you are in the middle of this movement. And what made you to start SolarLearn, and why did you do that?
So, I mean, Jorge talked about the recruitment being a problem. I think there is a serious problem on the other spectrum as well, where with the traditional education institutions not so much working for coding skills and technical skills anymore, there are not many ways to basically showcase to the world what you know. So basically presenting a competitive profile is becoming a challenge. So, and by having like a validated, verified profiles, and again, we don't make them learn specifically on SolarLearn. They can learn anywhere else. But eventually, I mean, since it's engaging and you keep coming back, it's social, and once you build your profile, you sort of stick to it, but it also becomes your sort of certificate, New Era certificate, that you can present to the world. I mean, be it for a freelance job, be it for a full-time corporate job, or, I mean, so that's basically where the thinking is coming from.
And normally coding can be seen as an individual work and isolated work, but you bring a community, you wrap it around with a community. How is it working? Is it like getting good feedback?
Good question. I mean, we had this concern, like coders are very self-concerned, they do not like to communicate. But another trend we're seeing, and we're seeing a lot of statistics behind it as well, programming is moving from this elite programmer world to a more basically mass market. And I mean, if you look at statistics, I don't recall the source exactly, but there was analysis about, there were about 5 million job postings requiring programming skills in non-programming jobs versus only 500,000 for programming jobs only. So we're looking at the skill as a commonplace skill, so you don't have to become a programmer. Well, you can, but you can become anything else. I mean, you want your marketing manager today to look at your consumer data and pull it out in a way that provides you the best use case and that basically brings you to certain conclusions in your business strategies. You want even your medical doctor to be able to look at a specific data of specific patients in a certain location to come up with the best treatment options that are best suited for your particular case. So this is becoming mainstream. And probably, I mean, people don't realize it yet, and like everyone should code to be competitive movement is still viewed as something very vague and not so much clear, but we're seeing clear evidence from a job market today that's in demand. We're seeing clearly higher paying jobs in non-coding industries with coding skills, and I think that's where the world is going. And we do not have to think about it like programming only. It's pretty much everywhere else. And our user base clearly shows that, because we have experienced developers, but we also have marketing people, and we have like assistants to professors that do queries to improve their daily jobs. So this is where we position ourselves.
I think, I come from also learning industry, and what is fascinating from your work, your practice, is we used to think that learning was an individual act and it's cognitive, happens in mind. But there's now more and more research, especially feminist research as well, which says that, yes, there's an individual element, there's a cognitive element, but there's something about learning that is social, that happens in a community setting much better than isolated individual. So I think what you're doing is kind of showing us in a perfect way. So I think I'm going to ask our panelists what brings them here, and also I think then I'll turn to you, and then we'll have a little bit conversation with the larger group, and then hear more from them. But I'm curious, you're doing fascinating things, but I'm curious, what brings you here? Are you here to meet exciting people like you? Are you here for fundraising, connections, networking? So tell us about what brings you here, why are you here for, and then we'll turn to the audience. So shall we start?
Okay.
We continue with you, Eva?
Yeah, well, we're a startup. We do 100 things simultaneously, and it's hard to say what exactly we're looking at. We're always fundraising, although I'm not actively fundraising right now, but you always have that in mind. We're always looking for people to hire. So, for example, we're looking for certain investors, talents, network, partnerships. I mean, it's not just one thing. We are in constant search for the best here and for the best there. So I think it's just an opportunity, and also get together with somebody who thinks similar and exchange. And just talk about challenges and talk about successes.
So you are looking to enlarge your network with like-minded people,
right?
Who could be investors, talent, or strategic partners. Okay, fantastic. And Jorge, why are you here?
Well, we come here every year since this actually started, and it's always extremely valuable because for us, the main reason why we're here is because we look for clients always, and there's a ton of clients here looking for developers, right? So it's kind of the perfect place to be. We're also hiring 30 people, so if you guys are looking for something, let me know.
So you're looking for talent and also clients who want to hire tech talent. Okay, and Robert, why are you here?
Just to continue adding that as well, we always hire more people, so we're going to onboard around 30 people more this year.
Wow.
We're looking for strategic partnerships and clients here in Spain. And to add to this as well, like we are, the four of us on the stage here, we are representing something new within the HR tech and like the ed tech market. So I think it's more like it's important to network and see what's out there, and like to form a unified message to try to change the industry, because HR is not the most like innovative industry to change. So we need to work together to do it. So
talent, connections with HR, and also strategic partnership. And Krill, why are you?
Well, the best people I've hired have come usually from events like this. I'm typically in the office 100 hours a week, so I rarely get out. So come say hi if you're fucking smart.
Woo! Okay, fantastic. Okay, now it's time. I think Irene, you're here. I think we have a little bit time to have maybe one or two questions, and you've heard from them. We're in the middle of this movement, which is shifting everything about skills and recruitment. And what would you like to say or ask? Yes, we have one gentleman here. Please speak to the microphone, and please be short. And if you want to direct a question directed to someone, please tell the person. And tell about yourself in one sentence.
My name is Fernando. I have worked in software development for the last 10 years, and now I'm moving to sales. The question is for Jiva. You said that now it's good that we are providing with coding skills to non-coding people. what about the opposite? What about providing with liberal arts knowledge and these things to presentation skills to engineers? Because then you find many engineers that are not able to write an email more than 5 lines or read an article of more than 160 characters.
So how can we, we're talking about hard skills. What do we do about soft skills if they are not, actually, they are harder even?
Yeah, well, I think soft skills
Thank you.
are extremely important. And we actually started multidisciplinary. So when we first started, we would teach pretty much anything, ranging from photography to business skills to some soft skills. But then coding is so big by itself, so we decided we'll focus for now. But it doesn't mean we will not go back into a broader spectrum sometime soon, but not in the near future.
So you're not
But
doing
that's
it now, it's
extremely
possible.
important.
Okay, fantastic. Another question or another input? Yes, can we have?
The question is for Jorge.
And your name?
Xavi.
What do you do?
I'm an engineer. I do everything, design, mechanical, source code, also electronics. And my question is about in your algorithms of machine learning that you seek for code in open source contributions and this, do you also seek for interpersonal skills or abilities, social networks in this sense, or just coding?
So it's a good question. We don't do anything that is besides analyzing the code. So don't look at us as a recruitment company. Recruitment is how we monetize our understanding of code through algorithms right now, because it's a big market, it's a big pain for companies, it's also a big pain for developers, because they get approached by millions of headhunters that don't really understand what they are and so on. So it's our first way of monetizing it. But we're only about understanding the code, and we're going to keep on building tools for developers to make the life of developers easier, services for companies as well based on this understanding of code. For example, company culture and company fit and these kind of things, we don't believe that someone external to your company can really tell you, hey, this guy is a good fit culturally for you, right? That's something so subjective. It's the same as if I would tell you who would be a good girlfriend for you, right? It makes no sense.
So I think for the entrepreneurs here, what's emerging is an interesting question. Yes, we're doing the hard skills, coding skills, but what about the relational skills, people skills, and how do we know about them? How do we develop them? That's seems like an interesting opportunity that we can think about. And can we have one last question? Okay, the lady here, please introduce yourself. What do you do? And your question.
My name is Irene Surron, and I work in education for adults. Just one curiosity, aren't recruiters thinking of hiring teams and not only individuals?
So are you interested? Is that a question for everybody or anybody specific?
Yeah, it's a general question to know if this is something that may happen in the future or that is already happening. I guess coders, developers work in teams, and sometimes perhaps that's a good solution. I don't know. Just a question.
So I'll put this question to Robert and Jorge. They are more in the hiring domain. So are you just hiring individuals, or are you hiring teams?
We're doing both. However, the trend, what we have seen in the past has been a lot that you're doing individuals, but there's a big trend now with more and more team-based, and also it's a big shift about work in general, and I think that software developers are leading this change, that you perhaps don't need to work in a regular company or in an office environment, so you can sit anywhere else or anywhere in the world to work, and you can work with whoever you like to work with to solve that challenge. So seeing for Elance and other providers where it's more about assignment-driven recruitment, then it's more about the team efforts rather than the individuals.
Thank you. And how about you, Jorge?
So I think that question is key. And I think until today, it's been purely based on individuals. What we do is on the technical side, as I mentioned, we understand the code of the company, their style, their biases. We understand those same things for the developers. And we try to find developers that have a very similar style of coding for these companies. So we actually look at the company and do it based on the company, not just saying, hey, this is someone who is good enough for you. He may fit, he may not fit technically in terms of the style. It's like with writing, right? Everyone has a different style of writing in a newspaper or in a book you're co-authoring, you want people who write similarly, right? So we're doing that on that side, on the technical part.
So I think what's emerging for us, not only skill side. Did you want to say something?
I just want to add that the majority of acquisitions, technology acquisitions certainly these days, are essentially team hires dressed up as something to make the founders feel like they haven't failed. And they get a big bonus for that. It's a huge value for companies. So that's what that really is. But having said that, I think there's a big opportunity there for companies to really think, and HR teams in companies, which are unfortunately completely siloed away from technical teams, at least what I found for the majority of technology companies, in integrating those teams. They're doing a very bad job with that. I think north of 80 to 90% of teams post-acquisition that are acqui-hired end up leaving or not being happy with the team that they move into. So I think that's an interesting point to think about for big companies.
I think what's emerging from these conversations, not only skill side, but from a recruitment side, we are paying attention, the audience is paying attention to individual hard skills, to social, relational people side of learning and recruitment. So we have last 2 minutes, and what I want to leave with is your experience as the entrepreneurs and startup. So in your journey so far, what did you learn, and what would you leave with the majority of people who are entrepreneurs or who want to be entrepreneurs? So shall we just change the order and start with you, Robert? So
Sure.
what's your experience in your journey?
I think that one of the toughest, or for me personally, and I think that is come by to be an entrepreneur by trade as well, is to stay focused.
Stay focused?
Yeah, because you see opportunities everywhere and you want to change, you want to chase them all. But I think that staying focused and staying true to that focus for many years to come, I think that's a very important thing.
Fascinating. How about you, Jorge? What can we take away from your experience and leave this room?
So I think both in our previous startup and in this one, I think the one thing that we saw that it has a big importance is culture. And it's the typical thing. I'm super allergic against bullshit. And normally when you talk about culture, it's most of the times bullshit, right? But doing something that is true, that is actually a strong culture, is a big driver. And I always say culture can't be the typical thing. Yeah, we have free drinks, we have what everyone has, or values that everyone agrees with, because if you go on the street and everyone agrees with your culture, it's not yours. It's just diluted and you can't feel passionate about it. It's like political ideology. If you're able to create kind of like a culture that is like a political ideology that most of the people will disagree with, you will attract exactly the right people to your company.
So have a no-nonsense culture that people can engage easily.
Yeah.
Pay attention to that. Okay. How about you, Eva?
I would mention persistence probably.
Persistence?
Because, it's not always green and sunny, and so staying positive and just keep trying, no matter what happens. Because there are different periods in life, and it's very true for enterprise as well. So you're having sunny periods, you're having cloudy periods. Just going through it and staying positive, I think, is an important quality.
Focus, culture, persistence, resilience. And let's close with you, Krill.
2 things. One is think long term. So my previous company is at $500 million in sales and dollars and 20 million net revenue, but I feel that it's a failure for me because I'm still not there full time, and life's too short not to be working on something that you're going to work on for the rest of your life, I think. Really think long term. And then secondly is really choose your partners and your team wisely. Everyone talks about this. No one invests the time and resources they need to choose the first 10, 20, 30, well, hell, 100,000 people in your organization. And don't be afraid of moving around, letting people go. Those 20 people that's the foundation of your company, and hopefully you're going to spend the rest of your life working with. So choose them really wisely.
So pay attention to long term, especially who you will work with, and make sure you will enjoy that journey with them. Well, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed our conversation together, and we're here if you want to contact. Thank you.